for life and death are in the power of the tongue. Except for a few passages in Aramaic, the original Bible was written in Hebrew. It seems that the earliest biblical books were originally written in Paleo Hebrew script. The siege of Jerusalem, Babylonian captivity. Northern Kingdom, Judah, the Southern Kingdom. That's why there's so many Hebrew relics in our lands. And not just Hebrew, but Paleo Hebrew relics. The Michigan relics, the Lost Luna stones found in New Mexico, which happens to be written in Paleo Hebrew and there are the Ten Commandments. And in my island of Puerto Rico, over 800 Paleo Hebrew artifacts were authenticated in 2019. There's also the Ark of the Covenant that they found in a cave in Panama. In it were Paleo Hebrew scrolls that mention the prophet Jeremiah and Aaron, the keeper of the ark. It tells you in scriptures, at that time I will change the speech of my returning people to pure Hebrew. And he's referring to the second Exodus, when the exile is up. And by the way, it was up in 2019. So that all can worship Adonai together. Janos, the first king of Italy, the progeny of the giants, who founded Giona in the days of Abraham. Janos and Sibyl, your St. Peters. Do not confuse them with this Peter, because Peter was married, because Joshua healed his mother-in-law. And according to them, Janos was the first king of Latium and the first pope. And the popes don't marry. Two-faced Janos, woman and man, head and profile, because he's androgynous. That's why that movement is pushed so hard. There you go, there's your Sibyl, which is the fertility goddess, the moon goddess. And there goes your Janos. One way or the other, the worship goes to him. Latin comes to the region in Italy that used to be called Latium. The Latians started the Roman Empire and also developed the Latin language. Latin did not die but evolved into 5 Romance languages: French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Let's start off with the French. The Holy Grail, the Papal bloodline, the Merovingians. As for Spain and Portugal, the Pope divided the New World between Spain and Portugal to have it colonized and change our tongue. These are other languages that come from Latin. Let's look at German. What does Anglo-Saxon mean in the Bible? A member of the Germanic people in conquering England and becoming the ruling classes. In fact, the Queen of England is German. And who are the descendants of Esau today? The Romans, and to a larger extent, Europeans. Notice the nations behind the EU and the World Economic Forum. Other Germanic people, better known as the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan was the tribe that broke off the tree of life. The 13th tribe and the Antichrist comes from the tribe of Dan. Now the Gentile nations are grafted into the tree of life in place of the tribe of Dan. They are referred to as spiritual Israel. So there's a bloodline and a spiritual Israel. So don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. For Joshua said to go and make disciples of all nations. Gematria, Dan. Cabal, Adam, DNA. Interesting, and you scramble it around, you get Dan. There goes your Adam, which I believe represents the flesh man. Satanist, Black Jesus, Vatican, Cabal, because they know that Joshua is black. And Kabbalah, tribe of Dan, and Vatican. Now for Vatican. Confirms father of the serpent, the Vatican. He would gain control of the treasures of gold and silver and all of the riches of Egypt. Vatican, central bank digital currency. Vatican owns all world currency. When they raided Solomon's temple, they took all the books, so they have King Solomon's books. Mercury is another name for him. And notice invasion and bullshit. Janos also oversaw the initiation of the financial enterprises in humankind's transition from barbarism to civilization. In other words, he's behind the money magic slave system. Hebrew is a Semitic language, an Afro-Asiatic language. So there's Paleo Hebrew, and now there's Jiddisch. Jiddisch is a German dialect that integrates many languages including German, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Slavic and Romance languages. So it's Jiddisch is what these people speak. A language used by Jewish people in Central Eastern Europe before the Holocaust. It was an original German dialect. German, the ruling classes, is mostly spoken in the US, Israel, and where? Russia. And who's coming to invade America? Russia, along with China. Who speaks Jiddisch today? Israel, Russia, the United States, and several European countries. Like I said in past teachings, these are descendants of Japhet, the Gentile nations. The Greek and Romans, the colonizers. And there goes Russia. And there goes China. Nations that were all part of Grand Tataria. Why do you think there's so many Chinese immigrants coming in through our borders? Of military age with no women or children. Gematria for the word Jiddish. In 2019, I was given a dream. In it, I was a floating, illuminating bride. And beneath me in a dark corner looking up at me was Obama. And I knew then that he is the man of lawlessness. Antichrist Obama. Barack Obama is satanic. The prodigal son. I'm Asherah in the flesh. Barack H. Obama is Satan. Asherah, again, another name for the fertility goddess, and again, he plays both roles. Obama, Antichrist, again. There goes Pizzagate, Sleeping Sheep, and Mr. Beast, because he's the beast in the book of Revelation, and King Charles is the red dragon, and the Pope is the false prophet. And you notice, Mohammed, all presidents minus one are related to the King of England, and that includes Barack Obama. And guess what? She was a descendant of Muhammad. And the king of Babylon always sits in America and our lands. And right above it, Kabbalah, underneath it, Sharia law. Why do you think there's so many Muslim men coming into our borders? They don't look to me like they're from South or Central America. These are Muslim nations. He is the Mahdi, the rider of the white horse. How about the Hamas, October 8th? Let's look up Hamas. Hamas is ISIS. October 8th, master plan. Everything scripted. Take the red pill. So Janos is also the god of new beginnings. That's what January 1st is for, from the old to the new. And 2024 is the year of the dragon according to the Chinese calendar. And Judah already served the 400 years, because 1619 plus 400 is 2019. Remember what happened in 2019 in the start of the year? The Australian fires? Australia fires formed terrifying devil face. It's so interesting how it took place when our time was up, and the lockdowns and the COVID too. And keep in mind, it tells you, I will turn your feast days into mourning and all your songs into lamentations. So January 1st starts a new year, and 2024 is the year of the dragon. What feast day or holiday do we sing songs to? Christmas, which is Saturnalia, by the way. So get out of her so you don't fall under her plagues. And yes, languages are spells. And again, that's the reason the scripture says, at that time, I will change the speech of my returning people to pure Hebrew, so that all could worship Adonai together. And I also want to give you a testimony. I didn't know any better at that time, so I wanted to start praying in Hebrew, which I thought was Hebrew. So I found a page on YouTube of this woman, from this woman that happens to be one of them, praying Psalms 83, which I thought was Hebrew, but it wasn't, it was Jiddish. For 2 nights, every time I prayed that prayer before going to sleep, I would feel something walking around my bed. It felt like a cat was walking around me. And it wasn't my cat, because my cat was sleeping in the corner. So be careful, because they hold all the books of knowledge. And let Jah return your speech to you.
Italian languages is in reference to the really weird fact that people who speak the Italian language over time have a change in their DNA. Now, this isn't enough that, like, a human can transform their physiology from just speaking Italian, but it is enough that through DNA testing there is a difference seen before and after someone moves to Italy. And while these specific experiments and the greatest results have been seen from the Italian language, this has been found in certain instances around other languages too. This goes back to the idea that languages themselves have a sacred meaning, and that some languages have the power to induce life in different forms. This is a big reason that ancient spells and things like that are said to be done in Latin or other old languages, because the language itself has a hidden biological power. So in other words spoken in certain language can induce a literal soulful or life energy that another language could not.
English languages are spells, just listen.
So what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance, with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that a wake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. And you would have to be in a weekdays to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
These are not Israeli helicopters getting destroyed by Hamas rockets. They're all over social media, but it is in fact from a video game, Arma 2. If you're on social media, you've probably seen a lot of videos like this, claiming to show what's happening on the ground in Israel or Gaza. This post claims to show Israeli forces dropping white phosphorus into Gaza, a potential war crime. But it's false too. This video comes from Vuhledar in eastern Ukraine and dates from earlier this year. So how do we know that? Well, there are a number of techniques you can use to verify pictures and information from the internet. In this one, we took a screen grab of the video and ran that through Google Images. That led us to an article from the Sun newspaper, and you can see there at the top the video. Sometimes the videos themselves can carry clues. This video, people are claiming, shows a new incursion into Israel. But no. If you look here, this is the emblem of the Egyptian Military Academy. And along the top there, that says Military Academy in Arabic. With Google Maps, we can track down this building to Cairo. And there it is, the same building. And there are, sadly, some videos that we've seen before. This video, which I'm not going to show, does not show an Israeli girl being tortured by Hamas soldiers. It shows a young girl in 2015 being killed in Guatemala. But that hasn't stopped the same video being used in India, claiming she was a Hindu girl who had attended prayers at a Christian church. Or in Afghanistan in 2021 after the fall of Kabul. In both those instances, this same video appeared on social media. Fake or misleading news stories are 70% more likely to be shared than true ones. That means they travel further and faster than real stories. Videos and posts like these are just some of the examples of that.